Chat, chat. I don't want to do this, but let's talk about Malaki. Let's talk about Malaki Branham. I am so worried for Malaki Branham. So shout out to Ty Yeager for posting this. Says a reminder that the Spurs have until the end of the month to pick up Malaki Branham's fourth-year team option. And then Noah Magaro had a really good post here in which he also was quite skeptical on what's going to happen here. He said, just spitballing here, but part of me wonders whether the Spurs cut ties with Malaki Branham to make room for a standard deal. And he brings up Brandon Boston or Minix will get their last two-way, but Flynn provides San Antonio with a little bit of depth insurance. I do agree with that. And then he goes on and he adds on that only 2 preseason games, it's only 2. Don't get too hype. But he said, with that being said, Malaki is 9 of 27 from the field, and it feels like he hasn't met a shot he doesn't like. That is true. That is absolutely true. Is it harsh? No, it's just true. I actually don't think it's that harsh at all. I think he's being nice here. So let me tell you how I feel about Malaki right now, right off the bat. I think that Malaki is a player that's definitely going to be successful in the NBA, maybe just not with us. So keep in mind that the Spurs didn't have Malaki initially on their board. Like I believe he was on the board, but it was one of those things where they didn't think they had a shot at him at all, right? He was supposed to be a lottery pick and he landed to the Spurs and they said, wait, we don't need to take Blake Wesley right here. We can take him in the next pick. Malaki is sitting right here. Why the heck did he drop? He wasn't supposed to drop as far down as he did. And that's why the Spurs took him. So they didn't necessarily have intentions or thought that they would have a chance at Malaki. Now, they did like Malaki's competitiveness with Blake Wesley in practice when they were trying out for the team. So, all of that considered, they said, hey, let's go ahead and take Malaki. Made a lot of sense. Very talented, and I thought that I thought the Cleveland Cavaliers would take him later in that lottery. Didn't happen. We got him. I was ecstatic for it. I was like, wow, we actually got Malaki Branham. Now, here's the problem, though. The problem isn't necessarily Malaki Branham himself. It's not that, oh, he's a trash player or he's not, he doesn't have his heart in the right place or he's a bad teammate. It's nothing like that. So I'm not trying to put any judgment on him necessarily. I think it's just a circumstances thing, right? Now that we have Wemby and we got a year under Wemby, we saw what that looks like and what we need. The role that Malaki Branham is playing is a role that we definitely need him to play, but it's a role that he's not necessarily the best at. And that isn't even why he was considered a lottery pick to begin with. Malaki Branham was not considered a lottery pick because he was a spot up shooter. That was not the case. When he was going into the draft and people were saying, oh, Cleveland Cavaliers could get him, they were thinking he's a guy who get somewhat of a pick and roll maestro, on ball scorer, 3-level scorer, pretty decent passer, mid-range threat. That's what he was, or that's what he still is, right? He is not a spot up shooter. And I think a lot of these circumstances, in the way that he's been playing and where Noah brings up, there's not a shot that he doesn't like. I think that he's trying to play off of his tendencies, but in a system that's not working for him. That's one thing that worries me. That worries me because he's not what we need. Now that we have the addition of Steph Castle and Chris Paul, and we still have Trey Jones, right? I don't want to say Jeremy Sohan because Jeremy Sohan isn't going to be running, any point guards or anything like that. Even though that did help him, but we have more additions, more guys that can run the pick and roll and can distribute at a high clip. It's really tough for me to find a place for Malaki Branham if he's not shooting. So with Julian Champagnie, yeah, he doesn't have a ton to his game. Yeah, he has some sneaky athleticism or whatnot. I think his IQ is decently high. I don't think it's higher than Malachi's or anything. But overall, he's a 3-and-D, but that's the thing. You can still lean on the defense with him. So if he's not shooting, there's still a reason for him to be on the court. You can see it. Same thing with Steph Castle, right? If Steph Castle isn't shooting as well, he's a really great facilitator. He's a really great defender, right? There's a lot of other things to his game. But when it's Branham, it's like, what is he best at? Pick and roll, mid-range, 3-level shot creator type, which is a good thing to be. And then maybe spot up shooter, 3-point shooter. And then what? So, and we're not going to be using him with the primary thing that he's great at. So it just kind of comes down to how impressive is his shooting. That's really what it comes down to. I've given up on the idea that he's going to play tougher or whatever. He's just not that type of player, right? He's not going to be a gritty type. In defense, that's not going to be there. All right. He's not going to be that better of a defender. It's the same thing I said with Keldon. It's like, I hope that he can improve his defense. It's just not going to happen. He never was that. And usually coming into the league, you're a pretty decent defender. There's at least some flashes that you can be a really good defender, right? But that is not the case. He never was that. And it makes me a little worried. It makes me worried if the Spurs do want to go forward with Malaki. So if I write this moment, because there's going to be moments where Malaki puts up, good numbers. But at this moment, how I'm feeling, I just wouldn't be that surprised if they cut ties, I mean, I don't think that we're in a rush right now. I don't think that him being on the roster hurts us or anything. But, man, I definitely don't know if we're going in the direction that we're going in, that we have a reasonable spot for him. Branham reminds me of Lonnie Walker. He's nothing like Lonnie Walker, right? I think Branham has potential like Lonnie Walker, but I think that Branham will actually reach that potential. I think he's just on the wrong team. If there's a team that needs kind of a secondary, facilitator, secondary shot creator coming off the bench, he's that. I just don't think the Spurs are that. What we would need him to be is something that he's not even really known for. I mean, he can shoot. Let me see. I think his 3-point shooting last season was really good. Like 37% maybe. Let's see. Oh, I overly estimated that. I think I was thinking of Harrison Barnes. About 35%, 34.7, 35%. It's just not. I just don't think it's really gonna work. Malaki has no burst, mid handles, and doesn't use change of speed to generate separation. He's way behind where he needs to be. I won't go as far as to say he's way behind where he needs to be. I won't say that. He never really had some crazy bursts or crazy athleticism or anything like that. It's just one of those things where he's on a team that just doesn't necessarily fit with what we need, right? You could very well just take another player that's just a 3-and-D or just a sharpshooter, plug him into what Malaki Branham's role is right now, and you're fine. Somebody mentioned Chetty Osman. That's a great example. City needs to leave. I disagree. I think City's fine. His measurements are just not there. Yeah, what's his wingspan? It doesn't matter. Yeah, he's 6'4", not really, Yeah, but those are my thoughts on it. It's something that I just thought we need to talk about, man, because it's an elephant in the room, and I can't ignore it. It definitely is an elephant in the room. Let me see what some of the people said under Ty's post. Same with Wesley. Said yes, but I don't think there's any concerns there. Yeah, I'm not concerned with Wesley either. He's on this team. I don't think Branham or Wesley get extended. They'll have to earn new contracts. I think me personally, I think Wesley is fine. I like Matt, by the way. I wouldn't rather wager on Flynn. He's got to really show out, you know. And what has Pop said about him, that he has like a nonchalant attitude as well. And yeah, maybe he doesn't realize how dire this situation is too, you know. Wesley's projects fine as a backup point. Wesley is fine. Wesley is a special case, man, because I don't think we have to put him in a category. But that's another player. I brought up why I think, you know, Malaki Branham is obsolete, right? That's another player. Throw in Blake Wesley. Blake Wesley is a facilitator. He's an on-ball. He can be an on-ball player. But yeah, I don't think we have to put him in a category. He's just good. He just fits. He's similar to Castle in that regard, right? Just kind of fits, right? You can put him at point. You can put him at shooting guard. He's fine either way. He just gotta improve his 3-point shooting. But yeah, Spurs should trade for Bronny. What? Our perimeter defense was horrible, and Wemby had no help this game. Yeah, it was fine. It wasn't as bad as last season. That's what I'm basing things off of right now, guys. It wasn't as bad as last season. All right. Moving on. I like Minix. Every Spurs fan likes Minix. I don't see it, but I don't mind being proven wrong, you know, when it comes to players. That's cool.